Every project you work on, it's an investment in your own career. And how that pays off over the course of the years depends wholly on the way that you nurture that relationship. Once this game kicks off, I told them, okay, I'll take this lower blanket fee, but I want all the rights to my music, and I want you to bundle that with the sale of the game.
I'm in a room, I got Steven Spielberg right in front of me, Michael Kahn and Frank Marshall, editor and the producer, and we're talking about the sound effects for Poltergeist. We got all these snakes. What does snakes sound like? Well, the best sound was actually taking masking tape on glass and going.
The whole linear versus non-linear difference is gigantic. Okay, on the next measure, or every other measure, I've written the music such that it can easily pivot into a whole other piece of music, and I liken it to driving down the highway where you have exits periodically. You can't just turn left whenever you want on the highway.
When you're in the room and there's all these musicians, you're bombarded by sensory input. And you've got to make those decisions instantaneously with maybe 100 people depending on you, looking to you to make that decision. There is one more step, and that's the mastering step.
It's the composer's job not only to write incredible music, but to also write the kind of incredible music that the people you're working for want you to write. If their music is used, again, outside of the game, let's say it airs in a trailer about the game on television, the composer may not receive performing rights if the publisher has not registered as the publisher of the music. It's this amount of politics often and to this amount of music.
We're looking for an actor who not only has the right voice and the ability to perform voiceover in the booth, but someone who can also perform on stage, on the mocap stage, someone who has the right look and facial and bone structure to look like the character that they're after. We need to know that the performer behind that demo reel has the ability to act.
Don't give up. Always follow what is in your heart and be honest with what's in your heart, but never, never, ever give up. Being awesome at what you do is kind of baseline. Like when you walk into Microsoft, it's expected that you're awesome at what you do. It's all the other intangibles that are really going to get you the gig. The most important quality is an ability to articulate and communicate their own vision.
Every single game that I've ever worked on came directly from the result of a friendship that I made, time spent with someone, building up relationships. It's not a make or break thing anymore, geography. Getting the script ahead of time, having the opportunity to read it and digest it and really have it sit with me is an amazing opportunity. Perfect demo is a lot of different types of demos.
The skill of implementing feedback is one of the hardest skills composers need to master, because you're told, oh, you revise this, revise that. And then you have to figure, let me just think deeply and understand what is it that the client wants. If we had more players, we had to practice more, and you still won't get that super tight sound. So this was one instance where less musicians became more successful. So if this is your first time, your best bet is to actually have a seasoned, experienced score producer.
If you get a sense of how a team works together, you want to feel like you are part of that team, even if you're not in-house. You're working in a space with other folks. You are scoring their precious game, and they need to feel comfortable working with you. They need to feel like you are someone that they want to hire the next time. Putting it in the speakers and saying, you know, it really, look how much you're spending on graphics. What about kicking in a couple of extra $100 just to have a guy play this really cool harmonica solo, you know? Look what it does. Relationships are so important, and skills, marketing yourself, that's so important. If you're not a business person, if you're not a marketer, and you're just an artist, then that's all you are, is just an artist, and you might very well be an unemployed artist.
Best way to ensure that you have a chance of me hearing it is to make it in the form of a public link. And there's a couple reasons for that. Look at the kind of games that you love and figure out who's making those games. And if it ever flickered into your mind that, oh, I'd love to work on this game, I would have loved to work there, that's a good place to start. You can often get developers and publishers to release soundtracks if you talk about it as It's a promotional tool. It's a classy promotional tool.
We want to give everyone a tool set for audio that is hugely powerful and hugely flexible, delivered in a package that is easy to wrap your head around. The accessibility of actually being able to create automation and modulation on your sounds. The development never ends, and our priority list of what's coming next with FMod Studio development is a fluid list. So that means that users can continue to request features and request updates.
I basically said, you know what you need is silence. This should be quiet. This is about negative space. This is about not what I can put in, but the choices I choose not to put in. What do you want to say with the design? What do you want to do? And design isn't just a sound effect. It's not a gunshot. It's not the what I'm doing. It's the why I'm doing it. Well, you figure out what's your loudest sound, and then you go backwards. Not you don't start with footsteps. You start with the loudest sounds. What are the coolest, biggest sounds? Those are the things that people remember. What is that role of that sound? It's a painting. Does everything need to be crazy bright? Or does things have to have contrast? It's audio contrast. I want it, bam, hits.
The sky's the limit in this generation of consoles. I'm often asked the question, what does next generation audio mean? There's nothing blocking us from having thousands of voices and doing real-time, immersive, environmental processing on all of them.
With Wise, you mix one on your PC or your Mac, and it's gonna sound exactly the same on all the platforms. I've got the monster, but I wanna hear the monster through this opening, through the door, not through the wall necessarily. We're doing really interesting R&D this time around with more dynamic reverb and more dynamic effects, and yeah, eventually that will come out in the new version of Wise.
They see us interact in ways that no other discipline in game development acts, supporting our 4 pillars of network, education, advocacy, and recognition, having trust in that person to be able to deliver on time and on budget and so on. And those sorts of things happen as you become part of the broader community.
Don't think that people are going to hire you because you can do a jazz thing and a reggae thing and an orchestral thing, you know? If you were to make an album for yourself, what would be on it? That's the demo that you should be sending to people. You look at all the most successful people, no matter what area of life they're in, and they'll all tell you the same thing. They got rejected, they had to sacrifice, they suffered before they got, and you know the best part about that is that you don't truly know success and appreciate it until you've been on the bottom. Wake up every day and say to yourself, what did I do today to help further my career?